Easy Elimu Learning Simplified. My name is Eric. I'll be taking you through the topic fractions, and for this lesson, we'll be looking at comparing fractions. So we will start by comparing fractions by expressing them with a common denominator. We'll see what that is all about as we continue with the lesson. We'll go to also comparing fractions by expressing them as percentages. We'll see what that is all about as we continue with the lesson. We'll also look at comparing fractions by multiplying them by a common multiple of the denominators, and at the end of the lesson, we'll be able to give you some assignments, some questions to help you with practicing, and also to help check your understanding of the concepts as discussed through this session. So we have our first example here, where we are supposed to arrange the following fractions in descending order. So this descending order is a term that we're going to use a lot of times. It simply means starting from the largest to the smallest. For example, if you have 2, 4, 9, and you are supposed to arrange them in descending order, descending order. So you start from 9, you go to 4, and then 2 in that order. So this is what you're calling descending order, from the largest to the smallest. So we want to see how can we arrange these fractions, which one is greater. Remember a fraction from our previous discussion, previous lesson on meaning of fractions or introduction to fractions. We were able to discuss and say that a fraction simply represents a portion. Remember, we drew something like this and say this is part A of the whole. A fraction basically represents a whole. It represents part of a whole. So if this is part B and the other one is part A, so you see part A is a smaller fraction. So supposedly this was represented by, A is represented by maybe a quarter, and maybe this other one is represented by 3/4. So you see 3/4 is bigger, or it's greater compared to a quarter. You see, so that's what you want to see. So these fractions, which one is greater, which one is smaller, and can we just be able to arrange them in some order? That's what we're talking of, some descending order from the largest to the smallest. So that's what you want to do. So we want to start by arranging them by, first of all, expressing them as a percentage. So case 1. So case 1 is where we're going to express all of them as percentages. So if you start with a half, for you to express them as percentages, we're just going to multiply by 100, and this is going to be 50%. And if you have a third here, multiply by 100, this is going to be 33.33%. If you have 1 over 5 multiplied by 100, this is going to be 20%. And finally, if you have a quarter multiplied by 100, that is going to be 25%. So you check the percentages. So the one that is representing the greatest percentage, that becomes the greatest fraction. Like this one here is the greatest, followed by this and then this. So maybe you could number them. So position 1 remember we are supposed to be arranging them in descending order, meaning from the largest to the smallest. So this will be occupying position number 2. That is from largest to smallest. Then this will be number 3, the 25%, and finally number 4 will be the 20%. So you can arrange them. So you start with the greatest, which is a half, followed by a third, which is 33%, and then followed by a quarter, which is 25%, and finally the least of all is 1 over 5, which is representing 20%. So this is the answer, how we are able to express the fractions, rearrange the fractions in some order, in descending order. Yes. So alternatively, you can be able to express these fractions with a common denominator, and then you compare their numerators. can compare their numerators. So we have what could be the common denominator here. So you check the LCM of 2, 3, So you first of all find the LCM of 2, 3, 5, and 4. So how do you find the LCM of that? This is what we have discussed previously, LCM. So we have 2, 3, 5, 4. So we start with the smallest prime number 2. Here is 2 divided by 2 is 1. 3 not divisible. Again, this is something that we have discussed previously, how to find the LCM. This is not divisible by 2, so you drop it down. 4 is divisible by 2, 2 times. Again, 1 not divisible, 3 not divisible by 2, 5 not divisible, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. Then we move to 3. 1 not divisible by 3, 3 divided by 3 is 1, 5 not divisible by 3. And then 5, 1, 1, 1. Then the LCM is just the product of all these 2 by 2. So LCM here is going to be 2 by 2 by 3 by 5. So 2 by 2 is 4 by 15, and that is 60. So you can start by now expressing all this as maybe a fraction of denominator 60. That is, the common denominator will be 60. So 1 over 2 here, how can you make the denominator to be 60? So you can multiply both of the numerator and denominator by 30. So 1 by 30 is 30, and 2 by 30 is 60. Then 1 over 3, you can multiply both numerator and denominator by, you multiply both numerator and denominator by 20. So 1 by 20 is 20, and 3 by 20 is 60. Then we have 1 over 5. How to make it 60 is to multiply by 12. So 1 by 12 is 12, and 5 by 12 is 60. And finally 1 over 4. So 1 over 4, you multiply both numerator and denominator by 15. So 1 by 15 is 15, and 4 by 15 is 60. So you compare the numerators. After you have expressed all of them with a common denominator, you can now compare the numerators. So you see 30 is greatest, followed by 20, then 15, then 12 is the least. Again, that is going to give you the same order from largest to the smallest. We're going to have, now as you arrange the fractions, you're now going to use the fractions. So the fraction here is a half, followed by, so you see this is position 1, position 2, position 3, 15, and then 12 is the last position here. So position 2 is a third, and then position 3 is a quarter, and then position 4 is 1 over 5. So that is basically how you were supposed to do it. So you can decide to multiply them or express them as percentages. You can also decide to express them as with a common denominator. So how do you get the common denominator? You check the LCM, the LCM of the denominators 2, 3, 5, and 4. And then from there, you'll be able to compare the numerators after you've expressed them with the same denominator. Yes. So finally, you can decide to again multiply them by a common multiple of the denominators. That is basically you can use the LCM, the LCM. It's not the only common multiples. We have very many other common multiples. We have looked at multiples, but LCM is one of them. So let's just use LCM, which we have already obtained, and we realize the LCM of the denominators is 60. So we can multiply all of them by 60. And the one that is going to give us the greatest value is going to be the greatest fraction. The one that is going to give us the least value will be the least fraction. And in that order, we can be able to arrange them. So starting with a half, you can multiply it by 60. The answer is 30. And then a third, again, you multiply by 60. The answer is going to be 20. And then 1 over 5 times 60 is going to be 12. And then finally 1 over 4 we multiply by the common multiple of the denominators, and that is going to be 15. So again, you can see the greatest one is the one that is giving us 30, followed by this, and then number 3 is this, and then number 4 is that. That is if you arrange them in that order. So the order again is going to be 1 over 2. So as you arrange the fractions, you remember to use the actual fraction. So 1 over 2, 1 over 3, 1 over 4, and finally 1 over 5 as the least one. So in descending order, that is from the greatest to the smallest. So it's really possible now to use any of the methods that we have discussed, either multiplication by a common multiple of the denominators, or you can express them as percentages, or you can decide to do what? To express them with a common denominator. So any of the methods. So let me use one of the methods that we have discussed to just help us arrange these fractions, and then we'll be able to see. So I want to multiply them by a common multiple of the denominators. I'm going to find the LCM of the denominators. So the denominators, I have 8, 4, 5, and okay. So we have 8, 4, and 5. So I start with 2. 2 divides 8 4 times, and 5 is not divisible by 2, so just write it there. 2 again, 4 divided by 2 is 2, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 5 is not divisible by 2. Again, 2, 1, 1, 5 again is not divisible by 2, so 5. So 1, 1, 1. So the LCM here of 8, 5, and 4 is going to be 2 by 2 by 2 by 5, and that is going to be, so our LCM equals, so 2 by 2 by 2 is 8, so we have 8 by 5, which is again 40. So what we're going to do, we're going to multiply all these fractions by 40. So we have 7 over 8 by 40, that is going to be 35. We have 1 over 4 by 40, that is going to be, so 4 goes here, 1, 4 goes there, 10. 10 by 1 is 10, or a quarter of 40 is just 10, We have 2 over 5, you multiply by 40. 5 here goes into 40, that is going to be 8 times, 8 by 2 is 16. So this is going to be 16, and then 3 over 4 multiplied by 40. Again, 4 goes into 40, 10 times, and 10 by 3 is 30. So you're able to see, if you are to arrange these fractions in descending order starting from the largest, then we'll start with this one here as number 1. And then number 2 will be this one here, then number 3 will be this, and number 4 will be that. So you arrange them in that order. So order will be, the first one is 1 over 7 over 8. And then we move to number 2, 3 over 4. And then number 2, then number 3, 2 over 5. Remember, this one we are arranging them in descending order, starting from the largest to the smallest. And the smallest is the one at position 4, which is a quarter. So you can still apply, you can still try and use any of the methods that you have discussed to help you arrange the fractions in descending order. So you can use any of the methods that we discussed. I've just used one of them. This is called multiplication of the fractions by a common multiple of the denominators. And you can see how to do that. It's just to find the LCM. LCM is not the only common multiple. We have others. I've just used the LCM because it's something that you have discussed before. So let's see this. Maybe you are able to pause the video, attempt, and then see whether you'll be able to get the same answer as the one you're going to obtain. So the LCM here is now 20. You can see. So just 2 over 5 by 20 is going to be 8. 3 over 4 by 20. So 4 goes into 20. 5 times 5 by 3 is 15. Again, we have 4 over 5 by 20 is going to be, 5 goes into 24 times, and 4 by 4 is 16. And finally, 1 over 4. by 20. So 4 goes into 20. 5 times and 5 by 1 is 5. So you can see again the greatest one, if you are to arrange them in ascending order. Now, ascending order here now means now we have to start from the smallest. As you climb up the ladder, you are ascending, you go up. So you start from the smallest. So starting from the smallest, you start with the one that is giving us the least value, which is this one is the first one. Then number 2 is this. Then number 3 is this one here. And then number 4 is the greatest one. So as you arrange the fraction, you start with the one that is giving us the least, which is a quarter. Remember now we are starting from the smallest. Then position number 2 is 2 over 5. Then position number 3 is 3 over 4. And then, of course, position number 4 is 4 over 5. Yes, 4 over 5. So this is ascending order. We have arranged the fractions in ascending order, Yes. And of course, that marks the end. There are questions here to help you check whether you've really understood. So here you are supposed to arrange the fractions given in some order that is there, ascending order. You can always attempt post the feedback on the comment section. You'll be able to look at it and give feedback accordingly. Otherwise, that marks the end of the lesson. Goodbye.